Octavia Spencer, Shape of Water opening soon. I'd love to know, as we start this off, about your relationship in the movie and on working on the movie with Sally Hawkins, because the two of you together is just magical.
Well, the thing that people don't know about Sally, and she's probably going to kill me for saying this, she is painfully shy. And so as I was getting to know her, I realized that she likes pours her soul into characters that she plays. And then, she doesn't like to be front and center of anything, in her personal life. And when I realized that, we just fell in love. We, as people, and she and I aren't the best sleepers, so we had that in common, and we just bonded over things like that, the commonalities that we have, and it's easy to love her. It's easy to want to protect her because she's genuinely a good person, and I felt honored to be working alongside her.
Well, that relates right back to the movie because your character is a friend of hers, a coworker of hers, and you are very protective of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you're protective of your true friends in your life. Think about it. That's the people that love you and are protective of you. You reciprocate, and once we got to know each other, it was easy to fall into those roles. I think.
Is she one of those method actresses? Did she plays a mute character? Was she trying to be mute on set too?
Um, on set, I think everybody tried to stay in character because there wasn't that much. Uh, our shooting period was truncated because it's such a small budget. I think that we all tried to, like, once they cut, just stay in the scene until we were done with it. But off work, she was Sally, and that's what you love about her.
We chatted with Guillermo earlier this week, and he was talking about how much fun he had on the movie. But I would love to know, the first time you saw this script, was everything there? Did you know right away this could be something special?
Well, it's funny because my agent told me that I would be meeting with Guillermo, and it was supposed to be like a 30-minute like coffee at breakfast. And when I met him, it turned into like a 3-hour odyssey. We had this conversation about everything, and the last 5 minutes when he was paying the check, that's when he told me about the movie, that he'd written this part for me, and he wasn't going to tell me anything about it. He wanted me to read it and tell him what I thought. And I think the script changed a little bit from what I had originally read. It changed. I wouldn't say considerably, but Zelda was pretty much the same, and there were things that we did in rehearsal that he would incorporate into the script. But it was pretty much there when I read it.
I'm sure walking onto this set, especially the governmental facility set, such wonderful production design. You really get the feel that you're there. What was it like being on location there?
The location itself was, I mean, it was, the big concrete pillars and walls. It was very sterile. And then when you get to the actual sets of the apartments and the houses, it was remarkable. I mean, Guillermo has a very keen eye for detail, and he was involved in every aspect of every decision. I love that about his work because I pay attention to all of that stuff too, and that's one of the things that we have in common. We both love antiques, and there was a lot of antiquing going on that set.
Let's talk about a couple of other people in the movie. Michael Shannon, you've got a few scenes with him.
Mm-hmm.
Most villains, most intimidating type people on screen are often some of the nicest people off screen. Was that the case?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's so funny because he plays these very intense, intimidating people, and in real life, he's just a big sweetheart. He's a dad. So a couple of times, I've caught him humming nursery rhymes because he'd probably just spoken to his daughters. But yeah, he is a sweetheart. And then you have Richard Jenkins, who's one of the funniest people on the planet. And people don't know that Sally actually has a really good sense of humor. once you get to know her, I mean, she keeps you laughing. And Doug and Michael Stuhlbarg. I mean, we had a wonderful cast, and the love and admiration that you see with all of us is real. It's genuine.
What was it like the first time you saw the whole thing put together?
I was nervous, and excited. And when I saw it, I mean, Guillermo he's a magician. He makes, I love to say that he's an alchemist because he makes the most mundane things seem otherworldly and beautiful. And we take them for granted usually. The thing that had me in was page 1 when I read that Eliza was dreaming and that she was underwater and everything in her apartment is floating. I couldn't wait to see how he did that. So I was already in.
He called it, when we met with him the other day, a fable for troubled times. What does that mean to you?
Well, exactly that. I mean, there were troubled times back then, but some of the themes are very, very relevant today. The otherness of it all. He highlights, people who. It's funny that he wrote 2 main characters who can't speak. And then the people he chooses to use as their voice are people who represent very disenfranchised groups. An African-American woman and a closeted gay man. I mean, that's a testament to who Guillermo is as a person. No one is invisible to him. So, it was the 60s people who look like me and who were a part of the LGBTQ community had no civil rights. And we're disenfranchised people. So the fact that a fable for troubled times, it applies even today.
Audiences for this, I think, are going to be varied. I think it's going to reach older people, middle-aged people, younger people, men and women. It feels like the kind of movie that would touch a lot of different kinds of people. What do you hope somebody gets out of when they see it?
I try never to tell people what to think or how to feel. I only hope that they, when they leave, that they feel something. And so it's hard to describe what this movie is to me when it's like, when people, what is your movie about? And you say, well, it's about a woman who falls in love with a merman. The facial expressions or the reactions that you get are, crazy. So I don't want to tell people anything. I just say, you should see it. The same way I was introduced to it, I'm not going to tell you anything. I just want you to read it. That's how I'm approaching it. I'm not going to tell you anything. I just want you to see it.
You have had some kind of year, all the way back to January. You and the Hidden Figures group won the SAG Award for Best Ensemble. You're used to that now. You've won a couple of those ensemble awards. I was in the press room that night, and you were also elated. Take us back to that night and what that meant to all of you.
To be a part of a group of talent and to be recognized by your peers, there's nothing more rewarding. And we all got to take a prize home. So that was unexpected and it was fun. And I miss those ladies. It's so funny because this time last year we were promoting Hidden Figures, and Janelle, because Taraji and I was working on this during the summer, Janelle had to do most of the heavy lifting during the summer. And Taraji, poor thing, she was flying back and forth every other weekend for things when we started promoting it in the fall. But, I basically did the heavy lifting with Q&As and all of those types of things. So the fact that we were able to walk away with SAG's highest honor, it was wonderful.
Why did that, even before I went to see it, people were telling me, and this was a few weeks before it opened in theaters, they were saying, wait till you see Hidden Figures. Why did it resonate with so many people across this country and across the world? I
think it resonated because no one knew the story. As many times as we've heard John Glenn's story, you would think that Katherine Johnson's name would be indelibly linked, or inextricably linked. And it wasn't. It wasn't until the telling of this story that we even knew that these women, black and white, who contributed to the space race even existed in that capacity.
The three of you presenting with Catherine on the Oscars was just one of the highlights of the year. Tell us about that moment.
You know, the fact that only one of those women was alive to receive that recognition is disheartening. But at the same time, she was there and she represented a bygone era. And the fact that she received a standing ovation from that audience to say thank you for your contributions to science and STEM programs and to NASA, to us, and where we are in technology today is a highlight for me. But I wish that Dorothy Vaughan and Mary Jackson were able to be there too. They were there in spirit, but it would have been, the cherry on top of the cake.
And you got yet another Oscar nomination this time around. How did it feel different this time as opposed to the first time?
It doesn't feel different. It just, to be recognized again by your peers, it's humbling. It's very humbling. It didn't feel differently at all. It felt
just the whole season, though, and going into the ceremony, you didn't feel as much like a newcomer to it. You had to have a little bit of experience from the first time around.
Well, as far as being nominated, it didn't feel any differently. Mm-hmm. I've been to the Oscars, in the past 7 years. I've been 5 times. So as a presenter and as a nominee, so that was not anything new or different. But when you go as a nominee, it's very humbling.
And you hosted Saturday Night Live back a few months ago. What was that experience like?
Ooh, that was the hardest thing that I've ever done. I mean, I have stage fright, and I'm dyslexic, and you read cue cards, and you present it in front of a live audience. So it was terrifying and exhilarating all at the same time.
We've sort of referred to The Help in terms of that being your other SAG award-winning movie. I just love the fact that we were just talking to Jessica Chastain last week with her new movie. Viola now has got an Oscar. You've got an Oscar. Emma Stone's got an Oscar. And Jessica was talking about how much Taylor had to go to bat for all of you just to even be in the movie.
Allison Janney.
Yeah.
Emma. Yeah, he did. And it was so great being there when Viola and Emma won their Oscars this year. And I'm excited, and my fingers are crossed for Jessica, and my fingers are crossed for Allison that they see their time soon. And Bryce,
You'll always be linked together, that group of women, I think.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, we went through something very special, and it was to have that journey and to still be in each other's lives is it's remarkable, because those types of friendships, when you meet people on the set, they come and go. But our friendships that we've all created, and we're still in each other's lives. We're all crazy busy, but we're still very much a part of each other's lives.
Well, congratulations on everything. Good luck with Shape of Water.
Thank you so much.